Scott, Clark, and I went and saw John Carter. Not together. Not, we went on our own terms. I got to see it in IMAX 3D, which let me tell you, you don't need to. But here's basically what it is, and then we'll get into our actual review. Taylor Kitsch, who was Gambit in Wolverine, he stars as John Carter. And essentially, he's a 19th century former military captain who never backs down, never quits. He's like, he's that guy. And he's searching for a treasure of gold, like a cavern full of gold, when he encounters this gateway to Mars, which would be cool if they actually called the movie John Carter of Mars. I don't know. It just sounds like a cool title to me. But they didn't. So once he gets there, he encounters these four-armed beings called the Turks. And Princess Deja, is that how you say her name? Deja? Whatever. Deja vu. Yeah. The princess is fleeing Sabthan, who's like this guy who her father has promised her to marry in order to save their city from certain destruction. The Sabthan is basically being gifted with another power by the Therns, which are kind of like a godlike creature who manipulate the world to get to the events that they're hoping for, basically. The lead Thern is played by Mark Strong, who was in Sherlock Holmes, and he was in Kick-Ass. He's been in a lot of movies. So, and basically what the movie is John Carter has to find a way to get home, but he also has to decide if he wants to help these Mars peeps out, and before he goes, and help save Helium, which is the city that the princess is from, as well as the Tharks. So, Scott, what did you think of the movie?
Well, to be fair, I went into this movie with kind of lower expectations. I didn't have a whole lot of interest in it. If it weren't for the show, to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't have spent the money to do it. But
that's exactly why you want to see a movie right there, boys.
Yeah, but So anyway, I went into this movie with kind of low expectations. But that being said, I went in with an open mind, trying to like it. Didn't have a whole lot against it. I don't know much about the source material, but I had heard that some of the material was influenced, like George Lucas on Star Wars and that kind of stuff, and some of that is kind of evident apparently. That was news to me. But this movie is extremely well done in terms of technicalities. It looks gorgeous. The acting is pretty good. The special effects are amazing. In just the set pieces and some of the way things are shot, as well as the creatures and the technology stuff just looks really cool. I just found myself not really caring about the story too much. I never felt invested in any of the characters so much to the point where I cared about what was going to happen one way or the other. I will say the movie started out strong. Started and ended pretty strong. Like it kind of had like bookends that were great. It starts with John Carter out in around Civil War era, like you said, 19th century. Mm-hmm. And there's some stuff going on with him and Bryan Cranston that's awesome. It starts out really well. And then as soon as he gets transported to Mars, or Marsoon, as they call it in the movie.
Barsoon.
Mm-hmm. I just start to lose interest little by little. There's very little John Carter trying to figure out where he is and why he's there and why stuff is happening the way it is. He just accepts everything like way too quickly, in my opinion. Granted, it's a 2-hour movie. You have to squeeze it in. But they're just, this is something I think would have been a bit more interesting if it had been stretched out in like 2 or 3 movies instead. It seemed like they tried to cram way too much into one movie and moved it too quickly for me to get invested in any of the characters. It ended pretty strong too. I thought it had, I found myself most interested in the stuff that didn't take place in Mars or on this planet. Mm-hmm. More interesting stuff was in the 19th century when this kid is learning about who John Carter is, and then they get into like, well, this is my story, and then as soon as you're in Mars, I just lost interest. But again, like I said, this movie looks gorgeous. The flying machines, I don't know what they're called. I don't know the lore well enough. Everything looks amazing. The special effects are a lot of fun to watch. It's a good action movie. I just didn't feel emotionally invested in the characters or the story too much. But again, I might be in the minority there.
I don't agree with him at all. I thought it was a very... What was that? I thought it was a very good movie. I thought it was a very good space opera, so to speak. It's a good science fiction flick. I thought they did. He learned his powers, so to speak, very well as they can in a 2-hour movie. I mean, he gets to Mars, he has trouble adjusting. Obviously, the gravitation. The theory is he goes to Mars, he's from Earth. The difference in gravitation and atmosphere is what causes him to basically have superpowers, so to speak. Like he can jump long distances and he has extra strength and that sort of thing.
It was like Superman, wasn't
it? Kind of. Same kind of concept. But what, Justin?
I'm not gonna. No, it's getting deep into nerddom. So no, you just guys keep going.
Well, I really liked it. He had some adjustment period, but it wasn't too long. I don't want a fucking 2-hour movie where he's getting used to having his power. I want him to kick some ass. I mean, that's what the movie is. It's supposed to be. It's a space opera. It's not a biopic. It's not a drama. It's holy shit, I'm on Mars, now I can jump around and fuck you up. That's what I want to see.
If a space opera is about the characters, and if you...
Yes, well, let me finish my review before you start debating me. I think the characters work very well. I think the movie actually is very much, to me, very much comes across as the first Star Wars film. Where I went, I don't think it was the best movie, like, say, out of that trilogy, the original trilogy, but I thought it was the movie that set up the characters. It did a very good job, and the most importantly, it was very fun. And I think this one does a very good job of setting up the characters. I don't think Taylor Kitsch is like Harrison Ford level awesome, but he holds his own, and I think he does a very good job. And Lynn Collins, who plays the princess, I thought she was fantastic. Not just because she's drop-dead gorgeous. I just thought she really encompassed what I would want a princess to be. I mean, she's very feminine without being too whiny, and she's very strong without being too ridiculous. You know, I mean, she walks the line very well, and I believed her. I believed them as characters. The CGI characters, which normally take me out of any movie because I have a hard time buying CGI characters, except for Planet of the Apes and Gollum and that sort of thing. There's very few exceptions. I was invested in them as characters. I bought them as characters. I didn't care who the voices were. I knew it was Willem Dafoe, but I started to forget it was Willem Dafoe at certain points, and I was really into it. Now, I don't think this is the best movie I've ever seen, but I thought this is a great catalyst for future stories. It was, to me, just what Star Wars was. Star Wars is not my favorite Star Wars movie. I think parts of it are boring as hell because it's a lot of exposition and a lot of setup, and that's what I think John Carter is.
Shut your whore mouth.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm saying in terms of those three movies, that's my least favorite of the three because it's all set up. I mean, the majority of it is set up. And that's what this film is. It's really setting up that world for the potential of future stories, which obviously they spent way too much money. It's not going to recoup its budget. They probably won't make it. But I saw it in IMAX 3D. You don't need to. It's really the 3D. I'm one where I have a hard time really saying 3D is worth the investment. I don't think it's worth the investment here. See it in a regular film. IMAX you can see it, I guess, because it is cooler on a bigger screen with great sound. Kitsch was really good. Like I said, he didn't blow me away, but he was really good in the role. He did his job. I bought it. I bought that he's this hero. I never once doubted that he could kick somebody's ass. Like I said, I really felt this is maybe what episode 1 should have been. When George Lucas went back to Star Wars, this is the kind of movie he should have made. Because this was fun. And if it wasn't for the stupid-ass title and probably the worst marketing I've ever seen for a movie, I think this movie would be doing a lot better. I think I've read a lot of reviews, and the negative reviews that I've read all seem to bring up the budget because it was like $250 million movie. I don't care if a movie costs $50 or $250 million. You should be reviewing the movie you saw. Mm-hmm. And I don't think a lot of the bad reviews are not being fair in that respect. I think they're saying they're expecting something more than what it is. I think this is a silly, fun sci-fi summer ride, and it's exactly what I wanted. I think it would be great to see more stories, but unfortunately, because of that budget and the fact that it didn't make as much as obviously they would like, it probably won't happen. But all in all, I give it 7.5 out of 10. So.
Do you think that it would have done better with audiences and at the box office if they would have gotten an actor with a bigger name in it? Because, I mean, I'll be honest, the guy, I barely know him from Adam, and maybe it shouldn't affect my view of the film, but it kind of, because I don't know what to expect going in, I don't quite know how to feel about wanting to see the movie. You know, and we kind of laugh about Jeremy Renner being in every other film, but it does make me wonder if an actor of a slightly larger name and body of work, if he was in it, if that might not goose people more into wanting to see it.
I'll be honest with you. There's several people that I know that ended up seeing it because they took their kids to see it, and their kids loved it. You know, and that's really the market. It's for families. It's just set for families. Yeah. And they loved it. I really think the problem lies with the title, which is an awful title because it tells you absolutely nothing about the movie. And the marketing, which I thought was probably the worst marketing I've ever seen. I don't recall a trailer that told me anything about really what the movie's about. I don't even think you hear the word Mars in the trailer. So it's really, I think they just I think they really dropped the ball. Somebody should really lose their job. And I said this in podcasts before. The marketing was that bad that somebody should lose their job over it. Because it's not a bad movie. I think it's getting a bad rap. I think it's kind of unfair. Now, Scott, maybe he didn't like it, but I also say Scott didn't want to see it to begin with because he had said to me specifically he didn't really want to see it. Now, I'm not saying that if it was a great movie that would have changed his mind, but if it's not really something you want to see, that's going to play a part too. I would think. Would you agree, Scott? Disagree?
Yeah. It's just. But I mean, for me, it has to be something that's interesting to make me want to see it too. I think that's a lot of what hurt this film too. Is the story just doesn't, on the surface, appear that exciting. I mean, granted, again, it's part of the marketing. But even after seeing the movie, I don't think telling the story to me up front would have made me want to see it anymore.
Everything can't be Bridget Jones' Diary there, Scott.
Yeah.
Here's what it is. You know what? Every year I go to see these summer blockbusters and shit. And 9 times out of 10, there's no story. Everybody gets all giggly because there's a cool special effect and wow, that looks really pretty and everything else. Here's one that it's not perfect. It's not the best movie I've seen, but I actually had fun watching it. I was waiting to see what happened next. I was into it. And most of those big sci-fi extravaganzas, I don't get into. Transformers, I know you guys love them. I get bored to shit. I like the first, and the third one was okay. The second one was god awful. You know, it's just they're really hard. If it's just special effects, it has a hard time holding me. And I thought this one is getting a really bad rap, in my opinion. So, especially if you've got kids, I think it's a good family movie to take your kids to.
Did you have any surprises, if you will, in there in the movie that you might not have picked up on or didn't anticipate?
No, I think
from the preview.
Everything from the previews. Because I really didn't know what to expect at all. The whole movie was kind of a surprise, and I've seen every trailer. The one thing that I will say, and I think this is probably doing the film a disservice to some degree, is that when you watch it, there's no way you don't think Star Wars. And I think to most people, they're probably going to see it as a total ripoff of Star Wars.
It's kind of the other way around, actually.
Yeah, and it's actually the other way around, but I understand how, because which came out first, that's how people see things. Nobody's read this. This is very much a cult book. It's not huge popularity. It's not well known. In fact, I think the novel that was posted was actually called Princess of Mars. So, I mean, it really isn't a well-known property. And I think if you just went and saw it, which several people that I know have, and one of the guys that I know at work that saw it, first thing he said, was like, it was really good, but it was a total rip-off of Star Wars. And, he sat there and set him straight. He's like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, it doesn't matter. His opinion's already made, and that's what people are telling people.
Right.
So
I will say what surprised me was the backstory. Like I said, I like the front and the back end of this. I had no idea that was even in there. I mean, they made it sound like John Carter was a stranger from afar, but there was no evidence of how he got there, that kind of thing. And sadly, that was the most entertaining part of the movie for me. The stuff between John Carter and Bryan Cranston's character was awesome. There's a scene towards the beginning that was I really liked a lot, and I really felt like, all right, I'm going to like this movie. And like I said, when I got to Mars, I just lost interest. But again, that was me personally. So,
well, I gave it 7.5 out of 10. What'd you give it?
I gave it a 5.5. Like I said, I don't hate this movie. It's a really well put together movie. It looks good. It just didn't trip my trigger as much as you.
All right. Well, that's John Carter, and it should just be called John Carter of Mars. So when you're thinking about seeing it, call it John Carter of Mars. You'll want to see it more.